Hey YouTube, so making a new video. This one should be a quick tip, I guess, on how I would approach science passages. And so this is going to be for, say, Chem Phys, Biochem, Psych Social, everything but cars, right? So any science passage. And really, all it is talking about how you should go about highlighting. And in the beginning of my practice passages and on practice exams, I would highlight everything that I thought would be important. And it ended up happening that almost the entire passage was highlighted, and that helps you with nothing. You can't extract information from an entire passage that's highlighted. It's way too confusing. So in order to have effective highlighting on these science passages, you need to look for keywords that you recognize from your content review. So by the time you're getting to these practice passages and you're doing these, you should be pretty familiar with the content that you're going to need to know for the exam, or completely done with content review entirely, and therefore you should recognize things that you've learned in your content. For example, say it's a biochem passage and it's talking about different enzymes, and it says phosphofructokinase. You should immediately recognize, phosphofructokinase is an enzyme in glycolysis, and that should trigger everything you know about that enzyme, right? So what you would want to do is then highlight those keywords that you recognize from your content. So if it's an enzyme name, you highlight the enzyme name. If it's talking about inhibitors and it says a competitive inhibitor, highlight competitive inhibitor. And that's going to allow you to extract information when you get to the question. So if you get to a question and it asks, what is the Michaelis-Menten kinetics of enzyme X, then you have the word competitive inhibitor already highlighted, and you don't need to really think about it. You can look back, remind yourself which type of inhibitor it was talking about for enzyme X, and then answer the question in relation to that specific enzyme. So basically what this is preventing is you're preventing yourself from getting caught up in useless information, and you're honing in on the content within the passage. Because a lot of these science passages, one, they're extraction, they're pieces of actual research studies that have been conducted, and therefore there's a lot of scientific wording that is pretty advanced and you are not expected to understand. Yet there's elements of content, such as enzymes in my previous example, that you are expected to understand, and therefore the questions will probably be on that content. Okay. So I hope that's pretty clear. I guess I can give another example for, say, Psych Soc. If it's a passage about communities and socioeconomic status and things like that, and they use the word meritocracy, right? You learned about meritocracy in your sociology content review, and you should highlight that word so that you know that's a piece of content that you're supposed to know for the exam, and therefore there's a good chance there's a question on it. So I hope that gives you a good idea of what I mean. Now, a second tip is for more specifically for the biochem and occasionally some Chem Phys science passages. You'll find that, especially in biochem though, there will be passages that give detailed pathway information. So they'll say this JPK1 is a substrate for this enzyme, which activates this enzyme, which is an enzyme inhibiting this substrate. This particular substrate is autophosphorylated by like a lot of information, and it's in directing you though. This inhibits this activates this enzyme is an inhibitor to another substrate. It's leading you through a pathway that it's trying to get you to understand, and it can be very confusing, especially if they have all act like really weird names like JAK or CPY, you're not going to know what those are, but it's hard to remember them. So what you should do is on your scrap paper, start by mapping out the pathway. So write down the first substrate or enzyme it gives you, and create like a shorthand for your map, like an arrow means activate, or like an arrow with like a flat end means it inhibits, something like that, so you can follow along without having to go back to the passage and not remember the exact pathway. So if you create a map as you read, and there's a question on, okay, which enzyme would best inhibit this entire process or something like that, you can see the pathway and it's in front of you and it's visual instead of in word form. So that actually really helps for those types of passages, which you will see potentially, at least on practice materials and potentially on your AAMC, your real MCAT. So try these out. The first tip might have been a bit intuitive, but it might help. So either way, if you like the video, let me know. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you'd like. Have a good day.